The time by Carrie Chris is 6 p.m. Time for CBX Business News. The business news headlines is brought to you by CBX Wealth Management, making more possible. Jamaica's financial reputation strengthened, a debt swaps to boost resilience, and a major U.S. defense investment rocks the markets. Hello and welcome to CBX Business News for Thursday, July 10, 2025. I'm Yanil Wood. Thanks for joining us. Coming up in the newscast locally, Foreign Affairs Minister welcomes the European Parliament's decision to remove Jamaica from the high-risk list. On the regional front, Barbados to pilot a multi-billion-dollar debt for resilience swap facility backed by development banks. And over on the global stage, the Pentagon acquires a 15% stake in MP Materials, becoming the top shareholder as the stock soars up to 60%. Stay tuned as we unpack these stories and more right after our break.
Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the CBX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why CBX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767.
Let's all get fit. This summer set drip. Hip dips and split. For in the mind, let's get healthy with it. Sometimes your body's so hard, but your body wants it. And then your head is so home, and it's so like this. So we gotta go 1, 2, 3. One more now. 1, 2, 3. Let's go. One more now. 1, 2, 3. One more now. 1, 2, 3, go!
The local news is brought to you by Derriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean flavors and fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments. Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with good news for the local financial and regulatory landscape. Jamaica has officially been removed from the European Union's EU's list of high-risk third countries with deficiencies in anti-money laundering (AML) and countering the financing of terrorism regimes. This follows last year's removal of the island from the Financial Action Task Force, or FATF, list. The move has been welcomed by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness and other government officials who have hailed the EU legislature's acceptance of the European Commission's recommendation to delist Jamaica. Following the announcement, Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith addressed the European Parliament virtually, expressing gratitude for the EU's recognition of Jamaica's work to strengthen its AML and CFT systems.
The decision by the European Parliament follows both joint and separate sustained advocacy efforts by Jamaica and Barbados at all levels. Even as recently as yesterday, our call for delisting was again repeated by Prime Minister Holness in his closing session as chair of the 49th meeting of CARICOM Heads of Government. We are so very pleased that in the end, a position was taken that recognizes the reforms that we have made to our financial systems and regulatory frameworks, a position aligned with last year's positive FATF decision. This is a signal of broad-based trust in Jamaica's systems.
She further noted that the decision by the EU Parliament is significant as it reinforces Jamaica's credibility on the global stage.
We cannot overstate the significance of this decision, which is a clear indication of the Parliament's willingness to respond positively to the needs and interests of small, vulnerable economies like Jamaica's. We thank the parliamentarians for this decisive action with exponential implications for our economies and accordingly our citizens. Ultimately, this places us in a better position to continue working purposefully towards achieving our national development goals.
Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith. The economic and reputational impacts of the EU's decision are also substantial. Financial institutions in EU member states will no longer be required to apply enhanced due diligence measures to transactions involving Jamaica, a change that reduces compliance burdens and could improve cross-border financial flows. Turning now to developments in the local construction sector. Caribbean Cement Company is looking to enter the export market following increased output from its recently commissioned US $42 million debottlenecking project at its Rockford plant in Kingston. In an exclusive interview with CBX Business News, Director of Cement Operations Miguel Estrada revealed that the newly implemented system will allow the company to significantly ramp up production, unlocking the capacity needed to supply markets outside of Jamaica.
Now, with our new capacity, increased capacity, we are happy and confident to be able to supply all the demand without importing. Even our next objective that was remarked by the Prime Minister when he was here in the opening ceremony is that we will have an additional capacity for exports. We are preparing now our installation in the packing plant to be able to load vessels, 3,000 or 5,000 tons capacity, and we are expecting very soon to start exporting.
He explained that with the improved performance of the debottlenecking system, the company is now exceeding its production targets.
And the new system is proving much better performance. You can see because we have a combustion that is complete, full combustion. In the past, we can have some CO, and the stability of the equipment, the way that the fuel is going to the burners is clearly much better than before. And that's reflecting in more production. We already started increasing the production of the kiln. In the last few days, we have seen the figure that we were targeting 3,850 tons per day. We already achieved that, and we are even above that number. Then we are very happy and enthusiastic with our people to see that we are already achieving what we were expecting.
Mr. Estrada added that Caribbean Cement is prepared to meet the growing demands of the construction sector.
We remain confident that our plant, now with this increase of capacity, is fully prepared to supply our market, and we are happy to see how the construction in Jamaica keep growing, reflecting a very healthy conditions, and you can be sure that CEMEX will continue being here to supply our customers in a long-term commitment.
Director of Cement Operations at Caribbean Cement, Miguel Estrada. And Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ is advancing its modernization efforts with expanded same-day driver's license services and a significant shift in payment methods. The agency has increased the number of offices offering full same-day processing, now including Anota Bay, Maypen, St. Anne's Bay, South Lamar, and Port Antonio, alongside existing locations such as Kingston, Montego Bay, and Spanish Town. Additionally, TAJ is encouraging motorists to use its online platform to start driver's license renewals by making electronic payments, streamlining what was traditionally a manual process. In a major policy move set to take effect on September 1, 2025, TAJ will no longer accept checks as form of payment for taxes and other public monies, except for specific circumstances involving valid government-issued or manager's checks. This change underscores TAJ's commitment to enhancing operational efficiency, risk management, and the security and reliability of its payment systems, signaling a clear push toward digital transformation in Jamaica's public sector financial services. Now to foreign currency trading news. At the end of currency trading on Thursday, the US dollar is selling for $161.16, the Canadian for $118.51, and the pound sterling for $218.69, while $188.50 is the going rate for the euro. Up next, trading news from the Jamaica Stock Exchange. In Thursday's trading session, the JC market activity resulted in the trading of 108 stocks, of which 43 advanced, 39 declined, and 26 traded firm. Leading the winners were Jetcon Corporation, Medical Disposables and Supplies, Iron Rock Insurance Company, and Key Insurance Company, while the losers were led by Access Financial Services, 138 Student Living Jamaica, Variable Preference, JMMB Group 8.50% US dollar, and Jamaica Public Service Company 7%. Now the main index advanced by 2,158.39 points or 0.70% to close at 309,024.13. The junior market index, however, declined by 10.94 or 0.32% to close at 3,409.79. In today's market education feature, we're breaking down a key financial planning tool used by business and investors alike, the pro forma income statement. A pro forma income statement is a forward-looking financial statement that projects a company's expected revenues and expenses over a specific period. Unlike traditional income statements that rely on historical performance, a pro forma statement is based on forecasts, estimates, and strategic assumptions. Think of it as a what-if scenario, helping companies plan for new ventures, acquisitions, product launches, or cost adjustments. It allows decision makers to model potential outcomes and understand the financial impact of key business moves before they happen. Critical elements in a pro forma income statement include forecasting, assumptions, scenario analysis, and statement components. And that was the market education feature and the end of the local segment. Please stay with us. The regional business news is up next. The local news is brought to you by Darriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean flavors and fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments.
I'm trading stocks to achieve my financial goals. I'm also trading stocks to achieve my financial goals.
Start a conversation with the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Check jamstockx.com for information and a list of registered stockbrokers. You can also call the Jamaica Stock Exchange at 876-967-3271 for information on how to begin. I am achieving my financial goals.
I'm achieving my financial goals.
Welcome back, and now for the regional business news. Barbados is poised to become the first country in the world to use a new standardized debt for resilience swap facility aimed at freeing up funds for critical development projects across the Caribbean, Finance Minister Ryan Strawn has confirmed. The multi-billion-dollar mechanism backed by the Inter-American Development Bank (IDB), the World Bank (CAF), and the Caribbean Development Bank (CDB allows countries to replace costly government bonds with cheaper ones through credit guarantees. Barbados will focus initially on a debt for social swap to create fiscal space to renew investment in their social sector, says Strawn, as the country prepares to be the pilot case for the facility's formal launch at the COP30 Climate Summit in Brazil this November. While details of the specific projects are still under discussion, IDB officials are expected in Barbados later this month to begin scoping for the inaugural swap, which is expected to surpass the scale of US $300 million debt for nature deal executed in December. Meanwhile, Special Advisor at the IDB, Avinash Prasad, estimates the initial wave of swaps under the facility could unlock between US $2 billion and US $3 billion for eligible Caribbean countries. The long-anticipated geothermal energy ambitions of St. Kitts and Nevis have taken a major step forward, with Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew announcing the successful opening of bids for the production drilling phase of the Nevis geothermal project. Speaking during a national address, Dr. Drew confirmed that 5 internationally recognized firms have submitted proposals for the drilling of the geothermal production wells, marking the most advanced stage of the initiative to date.
I am also thrilled to report that the partnership between the federal government and the Nevis Island administration to finally bring our geothermal energy potential to life is bearing fruit. With deep earth thermal reservoirs already identified, the international bidding process for drilling of production wells progressed such that bids were opened a few days ago, and 5 internationally recognized firms have submitted proposals.
Prime Minister Drew says drilling for the project is scheduled to start early next year.
With US $37 million already secured through the Caribbean Development Bank, the Inter-American Development Bank, and the Saudi Fund for Development, we expect drilling to commence in early 2026. Once operational, this geothermal plant could provide baseload renewable energy for Nevis and St. Kitts. It means cleaner energy, cheaper electricity, and true energy sovereignty for future generations.
Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Terence Drew. In all the news, the Central Bank of Belize has announced that its new 2025 banknote series will officially enter circulation on August 4. The refreshed series features enhanced security measures, updated themes, and new portraits that celebrate Belize's rich heritage while protecting the integrity of the nation's currency. Despite the redesign, the exchange rate remains steady at Belizean $2 to $1 US. Since revealing the new designs earlier this year, the central bank has engaged various sectors, including financial institutions, businesses, and schools, through a comprehensive education campaign to ensure a smooth transition. The new notes will be available at all domestic banks starting August 4. However, ATMs will be gradually updated and may not immediately dispense the new banknotes, with full ATM availability expected soon after. Existing banknotes will continue to be legal tender, but the central bank encourages the public to deposit old notes at financial institutions to facilitate their gradual withdrawal from circulation. And from Belize, we go to Trinidad and Tobago for trading news from the TTSE. 20 securities traded on the TTSE Thursday, of which 6 advanced, 5 declined, and 9 traded firm. Leading the winners were CIBC Caribbean Bank, One Caribbean Media, Ansa McCull, and Trinidad and Tobago NGL. While leading the losers were NCB Financial Group, Scotiabank TNT, Guardian Holdings, and Ansa Merchant Bank. Other results of the day include the All TNT Index advancing by 4.88 to close at 1,494.99. The Composite Index advancing by 7.11 to close at 1,026.17. And the Cross-Listed Index also advanced, but by 1.33 to close at 73.43. And still at 96.37 is the SME Index. And we take a short break, but please do stay with us. The international news segment with Nielsen Rose is up next.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. In the international news today, initial jobless claims in the United States dropped by 5,000 to 227,000 in the first week of July, defying expectations of a rise to 235,000. This marks the fourth straight weekly decline and the lowest level in 7 weeks, reinforcing the view that the labor market remains resilient despite high interest rates and ongoing economic uncertainty. However, continuing claims representing those still receiving unemployment benefits increased by 10,000 to 1,965 million, the highest since 2021. This uptick suggests that while layoffs may be slowing, rehiring could be losing momentum. Meanwhile, initial claims filed by federal employees, which have drawn attention following recent layoffs at the Department of Government Efficiency, edged down by 15 to 438 in the final week of June, matching the lowest level since December 2024. Delta Airlines shares jumped more than 10% in pre-market trading after the carrier reinstated its full-year profit forecast and posted stronger than expected second quarter results. The airline now expects adjusted earnings per share (EPS) of $5.25 to $6.25 for 2025. A revision from its earlier withdrawal of guidance in April due to uncertain demand and industry overcapacity. While the new forecast is lower than the January projection, of over $7.35 per share, it still exceeded Wall Street's expectations. Delta reported Q2 adjusted EPS of $2.10, beating the analysts' estimates of $2.05, with revenues reaching $15.51 billion, slightly above forecasts. The company also projected a third quarter EPS between $1.25 and $1.75, and revenue growth up 4%. CEO Ed Bastian said that while booking patterns have shifted, with travelers waiting longer to finalize plans, demand remains resilient, particularly for premium seats and international travel. Delta also saw a 10% year-over-year increase in revenue from its American Express partnership, totaling $2 billion in Q2. The airline's upbeat outlook helped lift shares of other U.S. carriers as well, signaling renewed investor confidence in the sector heading into the second half of the year. The U.S. Department of Defense will become the largest shareholder in MP Materials, the country's leading rare earth miner, after agreeing to purchase $400 million in preferred stock. The investment is part of a broader public-private partnership aimed at strengthening domestic production of rare earth magnets, critical components in defense, and advanced technologies. The deal includes convertible preference shares and warrants that could give the Pentagon a 15% stake in the company. Shares of MP Materials surged over 40% following the announcement. MP Materials, which operates the only active rare earth mine in the U.S. at Mountain Pass, California, will use the funds to expand its processing capabilities and build a second magnet manufacturing facility. The initiative is part of a multi-billion-dollar commitment to reduce U.S. dependence on a foreign, particularly Chinese, source of rare earths. This marks a decisive step towards American supply chain independence, said MP Materials CEO James Litinsky, calling the partnership transformational for both national security and industrial resilience. The Hang Seng rose 136 points, 0.6%, to close at 24,028 on Thursday, partially recovering from the previous session's sharp decline. The rebound was led by strong performances in financial and property stocks, as investors looked for signs of policy support following data showing China's producer prices fell at the fastest pace in nearly 2 years. Market sentiment was also buoyed by the June FOMC minutes, which revealed that most participants anticipate rate cuts later this year, with any inflation from the tariffs expected to be temporary or at least modest. Investors largely shrugged off renewed tariff threats from U.S. President Donald Trump, with analysts noting growing market indifference to shifting trade rhetoric. However, gains were tempered by caution ahead of China's June trade data due over the weekend. Top gainers included KE Holdings up 6.8%, Smoore International up 6.2%, China Resources Land 4.5%, and China Overseas Land 4.3%. Meanwhile, Hong Kong tech stocks edged low despite a record close on the Nasdaq Composite, where Nvidia hit an all-time high. And those were your international business stories. After the break, join Yanil for your recap.
Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited has been a part of Jamaica's manufacturing landscape for over 20 years. By crafting unique flavors and fragrances, we have become a part of your favorite household and food items, such as beverages, ice cream, household cleaners, and much more. Known throughout the Caribbean for the highest quality, we continue to innovate with strong leadership, a dedicated team with integrity. We go the extra mile for our customers. Create the next taste sensation. Contact us at 876-923-5111 or visit our website, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn pages.
Welcome back, and now to recap our top stories. In the local news, Jamaica removed from the EU high-risk list. Government welcomes decision. Regionally, Barbados to pilot a multi-billion-dollar debt for resilience swap facility. And on the international scene, Pentagon acquires 15% stake in MP Materials, becomes top shareholder. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of Nielsen Rose and the entire production team, I'm Yanil Wood, thanking you for watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.